So for the last shoot with just the one speed light, I used the V100 at the tennis courts. I don't know if you saw that, but I'll link it at the end if you haven't. But today we're going to use the V480 because a lot of people ask me, hey, can I do the same thing with the V480? Now, obviously, this doesn't have as much power. It's half the power, but we're shooting in bright sunshine again. And I'll try to have this, towards her back as much as possible. But we're at a stream where I don't have much options here because there's only so many places I can walk, especially at my age, because I don't want to go in. Just saying. Anyway, so we'll use the V480 bare flash. We'll zoom in if we have to get a little bit more power out of it. And I'm going to try to keep the camera at 2/50th of a second if I can. If I can't, I'll go into high speed sync. I just don't want to blow out too much because there's going to be a lot of highlights in this because of the sun coming in across the creek and so forth. So we'll do our best to make this work and see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching as always. Let's get to the shoot and see how we do.
So the number one question is this 480 going to be powerful enough to shoot with this sunshine, even though it's, backlighting her, not direct? No, it definitely isn't. I definitely have to keep her in the shade. Now, you're going to look at this image and go, why was she so excited? Well, we shoot a lot together. She's looking at the environment and the style of the shot, not the actual shot itself. She knows where it's going to go because we shoot so often together. Now, I opened up here, but you can see my highlights are going to be blown out. I definitely can't put this in high speed sync. I tried it a few times and you lose half the power at your flash. And V480 is already really, really low. So now I put this in high speed sync, raised up my ISO just to pull in the back there. But I know from a fact, just looking at these, it's not going to work throughout this whole shoot because there's just not enough juice there in that flash. And I did have to pull those. So, the thing is, I'm going to move into the shade and try to minimize the highlights as much as possible to allow this V480 to, shoot at full power. So I'm going to stay at 2/50th or below on my shutter speed because the second I go into high speed sync, again, I'm going to lose the power. Even in the shade, it's just not going to be enough because it is that bright of a day out. So my goal here is to, number one, I'm going to zoom in that flash a little bit. I'm going to stay at 2/50th or below. I'm going to raise my ISO up a little bit in the shaded areas. Otherwise, I'm going to lose all the shaded areas as well, and try to make that the happy medium in between ISO, shutter speed. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask, well, like, what are your settings for every single one of these shots? They're different for every one. And this is such a unique area and unique lighting situation that the individual settings won't matter and will not help you. I can say that I've been doing this for 40 plus years, and this kind of shoot is frustrating to me when I don't have the power in the flash to handle these situations. Now, believe it or not, the V100 probably would have done a much better job. But if I wanted to go into high speed sync whatsoever, I would definitely have to be at the 8200 or above. And yes, I definitely could have done a bare flash 8200 and got what I needed out of that. But the V480 is, for me, the lightweight of the V480, this is for events and indoor kind of stuff, or uh, definitely cloudy days later in the day or early in the morning. It will not cut it in midday sun like we're doing here. And it was probably 1 p.m. So we're still close to midday sun. But we made it work because we went to the shaded areas as much as possible. Even when I go back into the sunny area, I'm in a shaded area from somewhat a shaded area. And I made adjustments to maintain those highlights as best as possible. Now, when I'm straight shadowed area like this, I raise my ISO a little bit to pull that out, and I just use the flash, just a touch of the flash to add. And yeah, I didn't want it to look like flash for some of these shots, for most of these shots. And I think I, achieved that. But it's really hard and frustrating, even for me, like I said, because I do this all the time, and TTL is definitely not going to work in these situations. TTL gets way too confused with, all the different lighting scenarios, like those trees behind her. That is some bright sunshine behind her. I had to, number one, dial back. I was probably at f3.4 to f4, give or take around there, for a lot of the shots. I tried to open up to 2.8 when I could, but yeah, the V480 is not for this kind of shoot. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, what can you do if you have this flash and you're like I'm in the scenario here where I don't have another flash? I got to make this work. So the first thing I did was, for this shot here, I zoomed it to 70 millimeter, I believe it was. My ISO is around 125th when I'm shooting, down the stream a little bit. But then I raise it up to ISO 400, believe it or not, when I'm shooting into the backdrop there, into the shadows, because that's darker than it looks on the video. You can see all the way on the right side here, I'm losing all of that, because that was shot at ISO 200, I believe. And again, I'll stop down to f3.4 or, even more. I don't care about the depth of field. I'm shooting at 70 millimeter right now, so I'm going to still get that shallow depth of field and that separation. But if I'm opening up to, 28 millimeter or something like that, I'm going to lose that. So I tried to stay at 70 as much as possible, just step back and keep the flash somewhat close as I could, without getting it in the frame. Now, I'll move the flash in a little closer to get more power out of it, and I'll take the zoom to about 50 millimeters. I definitely kept it at 50 or above to get the power out of it. But again, this is trial and error in playing. And I would love to just say, hey, set it to this, this, and this, and you're going to get good results. It's impossible. There's just no way to, like, I pulled that left side down in post. And you can see by the highlights, they get a little mushy when you have to pull them down that much. But yeah, this is a trial and error thing. It's going to frustrate you. But what I'm trying to say is I've been doing this for as long as I have. And when you're using a flash that just does not have the power that you need in this type scenario, it is frustrating, and you're not going to be able to just dial it in like that. You're going to have to play with it. And every time you do the slightest different angle, you're going to have to make changes. It's the only way to do it, the only way to make it work. So I can't just sit here and say, these are the settings. This is it. This is going to work for you. I can recommend getting a more powerful flash versus using a 480. And you can see how close it is now, because I wanted to get some of those highlights, break those down, and I still couldn't. It just didn't handle it. So tilt her head up, point it into the sun, and then I used that flash to, believe it or not, fill in those shadows, which you saw how dark it was. It still wasn't doing a great job this close when it's in bright sunlight like this. I did what I could, and once it didn't work, I like the images, don't get me wrong, but when it doesn't work, this is the shadows filled in, because I was so close with that flash. But I took advantage of the sunshine and just let those highlights blow out just a little bit and go, hey, it's an artistic choice. Now, turning her back towards the sun again. Now, that flash is really close, and I'm still going to fill in those shadows, but you're going to see it just doesn't have the power uh, to do it like the V100 would, or an 200. And you can see it looks flashed here, which I don't like, but I had no other choice, because I wanted to crush those highlights behind her, and not to have them too blown out. But happy mediums, I guess you would say. Just adjust and trial and error and play. Now, I used her for the shoot because she is used to this, and it would not frustrate her no matter what I did. So she knew going into this, it's going to take a little bit to get each shot done. Because I honestly, I just didn't think the V480 would have the power to do what I wanted it to do. Now, here's, this is as close as I can get with that kind of direct sunlight. So, shooting to the opposite side, the sun is behind my back right now. And, I don't care because I put her in the shade. So the flash is not going to work nearly as hard. Behind her is, the forest, which is darker than it looks, as you can see here. The flash didn't have to work as hard. I'm at, ISO 200, f3.4, and the flash is doing a nice job just to make it look natural. So I wish I had better news for you because, so many people ask me, can I use the V480 for this? No, this is an event flash because of the lightweight, or indoor flash, whatever you want to call it, or, you know, no sunshine, no sunshine kind of flash. It can work, like I said, and, if you have the patience and you have a subject with the patience, you can dial in the right numbers for this to get it to work a little bit. But as far as high speed sync, absolutely not. Just not going to work. It works in high speed sync. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it will work in high speed sync, but not for bright sunny days. For overcast skies or later in the day, and even golden hour. If the sun's still there, it's now you can see on her knee there, like that crushing of the highlights. It just, I try to pull them back in post. If you have to pull them back that far, you're going to lose color and the tone of the image. Here there's no sunshine just on the boot. It's not hitting the skin. I didn't lose anything. Anyway, this was a long ramble for a flash that, shouldn't be used in bright sunlight. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the shoot. I hope you learned something out of this long ramble. But thanks for watching as always.